Good morning. Let me tell you what I'm doing. So I am going to take the color out of this tie-dye to add in my own design. It's kind of a thing me and Sam from Mountain Dyes does. And what I use is Jacquard's decolorant. When it's cold or cool temperatures, this stuff is pretty lame, won't do anything to you. If you get it on your hands, do wash it off very quickly. But the main worry about this product is its sulfur base and heat. When you add heat to this stuff, it can create SO2, H2S gas, which is very, very toxic, very lethal. You don't want to mess with that. So you want to use a half-mast respirator at the very least, because that stuff is stinky, and anything sulfur based, you probably don't want to rebreathe it in. Sulfur is in formaldehyde. Same thing. You don't want to breathe that shit in either. So, full face respirator if you really want to go above and beyond. And then I use a heat press, power press 15 by 15. So I have to go 2 rounds. When I press this to get the color out, I'll have to do the top half and then the bottom half. Use parchment paper in between the shirt and the iron or the heat press, and then make sure you have a piece of cardboard underneath that. And like, I saw this tape here, and I'm like, oh, do not put that into the heat press or on the iron, because that glue will get on the back of your shirt and then you're screwed. So I'll be cutting that off real quick and making sure, yep, no more tape. So the reason for the cardboard, you gotta soak this stuff in. I use a little squeeze bottle to make it easy to just squirt all about, and then I use synthetic brushes to scrub in to the fabrics. You want to get this decolorant all the way down into all the fabric. That's why you want to put a piece of cardboard, because you're gonna want to zap all the color out of every single thread here. And there's still gonna be some color left, I know that. And I may do 2 rounds to really try to pull out as much color as I can. That's what I did last time. Different circumstances last time though. Lighter colors and better knowledge of the process I'm doing here, because this is my second one. And so what I'll do is I'll cover the middle, get all the decolorant in there really good, and then peel the tabs off. Of course, go down to here, here, and here, and then peel the tabs off, and I know where my lightning lines go. And then what I'll do is I'll put a little dop of the decolorant here where there's already decolorant, and I will take the flat edge of this brush and I'm gonna pull it, because it's kind of stringy like mucus or glue, Elmer's glue. It wants to fight the flow, so you have to be careful about how much you pull, because you can pull globs, you can get it stringy and get webbing you don't want, but that can also be a really good idea if you can do it right. Good luck with that. Oh, by the way, this stuff you really don't want to, like with bleach, you can water it down and lessen the effect. Watering down decolorant, I don't recommend it, because it just doesn't really do the fade like bleach does. The sulfur either works or it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, and it only works in certain places because of the concentration, then you're stuck with just mess, and you got to redo another round and waste more decolorant, which is, you know, it's not totally expensive to buy, but like $65, $75 total shipping if you buy a quart of it, and that's a lot. So I'm gonna get started. I'll be right back with y'all, show you the results. All right, we're back, and decolorant has been applied. Now in the middle where it's really saturated, you really want to rub it in there if you're trying to make it fully white. And this is another good reason to go back with a brush and really just push and dig into those areas that you're wanting to sap all of the color out of it. Not to mention wrinkles, these little pieces here. You really want to make sure when you put this in the press, or before you put your parchment paper over it, and make sure your parchment paper is a full size of your design that you're trying to white out, because you don't want to lift up the parchment paper and have to drop it back down again. You want it to stay on there so that you don't have any residual stuff. And you see how I'm just kind of pushing that in there and just trying to rub it into gently rub it into the fabric, okay? Because with fabric, and you tie-dyers know, you can only saturate so much and then it's pushing out. So we definitely have some push out on some of these lines, because these lines were much smaller before. But that's good. That's why I need it like that. But if you're wanting to do some really, really thin lines, you're going to have to go to a liner brush or really get technical with pulling those lines. You see how you just use that tip and you can kind of just pull straight. Now, you're not going to get a very good white line unless you bear down, which you bear down and you're gauging your line to be like 5 or 6 sizes bigger. So keep that in mind. And there's also, after you white it out, go back in post and either dye paint your oopsies or blotches somewhere where you didn't expect it to go. So here we go. Some decolorant still kind of sitting on the surface, and I'd like it to really drop down and get through all the fibers there. But it's looking pretty good, and that's not big enough. So I'm gonna go get another bigger size, or just a little more, and then we're gonna put it in this hot puppy. It has a timer of 1 minute, and press it down, let it go the full time. Just make sure when you put this shirt in this press, parchment paper is covering every bit of the shirt where it's touching in here. Because if you don't, you will get burn holes. I've already done it before, and I cried a little that night because there was one of my tie-dyer friends that I love and respect, and they did a really good job on this shirt for me. Used the colors I wanted. It was perfect, and I had to go in there and fiddle-diddle around with it and try to add some decolorant and some more style to it and make it a full 3-part collab, and I burnt holes in it. So I'll be right back with the post-press results. And there's the results from the decolorant. Now, I didn't have to put more than one layer of decolorant on there, but I had to press it 2 times in a row because there was so much decolorant in there and so much color. It took 2 presses, or about 2 minutes, to really zap out enough color. And like I said, with a 15 by 15, it's pretty much the whole shirt. You just got to be really careful and make sure you have your parchment paper covering up, because I almost had an oopsie and closed it with a corner showing of the fabric, and that would have burned right through. So gotta be careful. But that took 5 minutes, whereas an iron takes an hour, 45 minutes. No sir, I ain't got time for that. Power press, you can get it on Amazon, pretty kick-ass. It's got temp control, time control for the timer, adjustable and spinning knob up there for pressure if you got heavy stuff in there or thicker fabric, and hasn't failed me yet. It's great. It was a great buy. Now we're gonna wash this, try to get all that brown off of there. But if it doesn't, I've had some shirts that leave a kind of a brown stain there, and that's fine. The main objective was to put a neutral whitish color in here so that the dyes and the airbrush paints I put on top of it, it's like painting on a blank canvas. So good luck to y'all. Try, you can use the dye pens, dye sprays, or like, mix up your alginate and your dye powders and go to town on that. Just make sure if you're going to use the dye powders and the alginate, you still gotta, wash and then soak it with your soda ash. But I prefer the airbrushing. I'm getting to like it a lot, and I can't wait to show you all the results of this.